What's up, guys? All right, we'll kick it off with the GU coming into today. In a bit of an interesting spot, obviously, where that CPI last night gave us quite a strong sell-off. Didn't leave us with a lot to work with inside of the current range. What we've got, as we know, we've induced the decisional of that external 15-minute break, and since we've started to develop some bearish price action, so it's looking like we are potentially following with that external structure cycle there, potentially in the process of making a new main leg at this point here could end up becoming a bit of a decisional area. So we're seeing to monitor what that's going to do. I'd like to sell it to just follow along with that structure cycle and this momentum that we've got just here. We are currently mitigating a point that has taken no liquidity, so I'm not expecting it to hold and obviously goes against the current momentum of the market. Now, in terms of this area, so it is the decisional of that internal break which started the complex pullback. So it has some strength in that sense, but given that it hasn't taken any liquidity, and we've got no liquidity obviously induced into it, and it does go against momentum, I'm not expecting it to hold. What we've got up here is our first break and retest area. We could potentially come all the way up here, potentially mitigate this zone and then get that sell off from there. So that's what I'm open to. Otherwise, if we can pull down here, do something like that, I'll be happy to sell off of this area here, given it's a medium inducement. Ideally, though, I would rather see it come up and take that a little bit of retest just there. The other side of it is if we do pull down from here, break here, and we use this area as a smart money trap, we could get something like this. I'm then happy to sell out of here, following along like that. So we just need to see what it wants to do, but not going to try and force anything, obviously. Post CPI, our structure is not the best. We are in an area at the moment where price should start to tell us whether we're taking out this low or whether we're going to start working our way up to the extreme. What happens here will more or less be the decider of that. If we push and break higher, we're coming up here. If we break below here, I wouldn't be surprised to see us quite quickly come and take out that low. So we'll just see what that wants to do. There was also quite a clean sell pre-news last night on GU as well. It was the same with EU. EU was much closer to news, which is why I personally didn't take it, just paper traded it. Probably could have pulled the trigger on it though, but it was like an hour and a bit before news, so a little bit close, but one that I definitely will journal. Sweet. All right, EU obviously reacting out of this decisional area of that external 1 hour break, as we know, has pushed us up into the decisional of our external 15-minute break. We're respecting that as obviously GU's induced, and now we're getting that sell off. So we are in a bit of a tricky spot with EU, but we can play both sides in the market. So we can play that this point here could potentially be a smart money trap as it goes against that bearish structure cycle. So we could look for this to come up and induce and then get that sell off, which is great. Or the other side of this is this area here could hold, following along with decisional mitigation, inducement of retest, internal inducement into mitigation, a little bit of a liquidity target, a little bit of trend line generated. The only thing that I don't see as a high probability, or the only reason I don't see this as high probability holding, is the reaction that we've had from the decisional and how fast we melted into this point after taking the retest, breaking high, and then just really, really quickly melting into it. However, this could be an inducement. So we just need to see what it wants to do, but it works well in the sense of us being able to play both sides of the market. If we do pull up from here, induce that retest of that internal break, I'm happy to sell straight off that. Ideally, we come up to the extreme area, but I am happy to look at that straight off the bat. That's going to give us a break, inducing buyers out of this extreme area. Worst case scenario would be should be able to at least get break even. And we do have obviously that target there as well, which sort of carries along that whole leg just there. Buys at this stage are a little bit tricky. Not really anything we can do for buys. We would more or less need it to come down and just generate some new structure. We'd then have to work with something inside of there. At this stage, don't see a whole lot of a way to be able to buy it. You would have to work with something like smart money trap. Inducement low, so you could work with this. So that structure in there is so tight. Let's see if there's something that's maybe mitigating. Not really. Yeah, not really mitigating anything. It's all internal. That's your 5 minute range. Yeah. I don't see much in the way of a good way to buy it. So like, you've obviously got internal break and retest, but it's none of it's actually like an actual break of structure. So I'm not going to try and force it. If I'm going to buy it, I'll wait for it to give me good price action. Right now, it's telling me sells. So I'm just going to wait for it to come up and induce that, and then I'll be looking for sells. AU's in a weird spot as well. Same sort of thing as GU. We need it to show what it's going to do. We are reacting out of the extreme. We've induced the retest of that first break. That's what pushed us down with news. We've since come down, induced the decision of the initial first break here out of the demand, which is the one that follows the structure cycle. And now we're starting to see that bullish momentum come back into play after doing so. In terms of what we've got, you've got this area here, which we can buy from. But same story on AU. I kind of more or less just want today to build the story of where it's going to go and what it's going to do. If we come back down here into this zone, we'll be pushing through here for sure. I don't see it holding. If we push back above here, then this is just going to be an inducement of sellers to help continue with that bullish momentum to come and take out that high. So just needed to tell the story a bit more. Right now, it's not giving us too much, so I'm not going to try and do too much with it. DXY definitely doesn't help the picture at the moment. So we're of course sitting inside of this leg here. We've induced the retest. We've induced the retest of that initial first break, generated heaps of liquidity here, internally induced this high, but respected the actual high, and are now potentially getting a little bit of a sell-off. So what I could potentially see happening on the DXY is coming down to induce a little bit of retest of our internal leg and then pushing up from there, using this whole area as a smart money trap, seeing this more or less as like a big build up of equal highs. So may play out like that. However, it very well can respect it. It very well can come deeper. It very well can come deep, at least inside of this leg. There's a lot of liquidity underneath. So yeah, it's really just going to depend on what it wants to do. The thing with the DXY as well is you got this area here, which is a supply to demand area. It could very well induce that on its own and then push up from there as it's more or less like a medium inducement. So yeah, we're just gonna have to play it. But yeah, I'm not trying to force too much today. Yesterday had two really clean setups, to be honest. EU and GU were very, very tidy. Could have taken both of them. Yeah, missed opportunity on those, which is a little bit annoying, but all part of the fun, all part of the parcel. We'll see what it wants to do, see if it's going to come up. EU's looking at the best at the moment, in my opinion. So I'll be keeping my focus and attention on EU coming into today's session. News-wise, we've only got a little bit of orange folder for London. We've got our red folder for New York. So nothing to be concerned about there.